Over the 3 years, we've raised over $600,000, and Jody is here to really bring all of you together to share her story of why she's gotten involved with SickKids and how you too can get involved in the program. So just a quick intro about Jody before she pops up. It's been fantastic to work with Jody over the last year. She is an ambassador for SickKids. She is a people bringer together, otherwise known as a networker. And she puts 150% into everything she does. So Jody obtained her HBA from Ivy in 2000 and then worked at the Boston Consulting Group, at WorkBrain, and then at Scotiabank. She obtained her law degree from Osgoode before practicing family law at Torquay Mains. She then got involved in philanthropy, and she was working with the MS Society, Starlight Children's Foundation, and the Canadian Breast Cancer Foundation. Jody is now the Director of Business Development for Oastler's National Litigation Group. And as I was reading this biography, I loved the last line. Jody is a passionate innovator, an eager team player, and a natural connector. So please help me welcome your host for this evening, Jody Clare.
Tonight I'm going to talk about my own SickKids journey with Lily, my now healthy and incredible daughter, which demonstrates why I am so very grateful for having such a world-class, incredible child-focused institution that has some of the most knowledgeable doctors who are also the most compassionate people. I'm also going to share with you what I learned about resilience from my daughter. Hopefully she'll inspire you in the way that she has inspired me. And last, I'll talk about why I am so proud to be a SickKids innovator. So, our story. From when Lily was 18 months old until she was almost 4, we were in and out of SickKids almost every week. She had fevers of 105 while she battled numerous rare and life-threatening illnesses. We tried endlessly to get to the bottom of what it was and why she kept getting so sick. We fed her well, she slept well, she was otherwise healthy and developing normally, and we just couldn't figure it out, and we actually never did. But thankfully, she's perfectly healthy today, and our traumatic journey is only a distant memory and a gift in terms of the lessons that we learned, our overall perspective on life, the gratitude we carry, and how resilient she has become for a little person who's only 6. It really started when we returned from Punta Cana. She was very sick, and she had been sick when we were in the Dominican. We thought it was just a cough. We took her one Sunday to a walking clinic when she had a fever of 105 and was completely inconsolable. The doctor at the Pharma Plus was very alarmed. Now, I had been to that Pharma Plus many times and had never seen the look in the eyes of the doctor, and he said, "You need to go to SickKids right now." And so I tried to stay calm, and off we went. And after 8 hours of tests and probing, and she was very dehydrated, and we've been away, so we did a whole bunch of blood cultures, thank God. They diagnosed her with pneumonia, and the very kind doctor that evening said, "We're very busy, we're very full, we actually don't have, she's very sick, but we don't have a bed for her. So your 2 options are you can take her off the IV antibiotic, take her home, and give her oral antibiotics, or take her to North York General." And I, in my heart, knew that there was something more. I can't explain it. Pneumonia was there. I was sort of like, no big deal, it's pneumonia, but there's something more going on. And so we went to North York General and continued with those antibiotics. 2 days later, the doctor, who is an amazing man as well, the hospitalist there, came to say, actually, there's something growing in her blood. She has a blood infection. We don't know what it is yet, but I'm really glad you're here. And a couple days later, because this particular bacteria takes 5 days to grow, which only, it's only because we were at SickKids that we even had this test that would ever have determined that she had this particular bacteria. She had a very rare infection called Kingella kingae, which is very rare, and in fact, the whole medical team hadn't heard of it at North York General and didn't know how to treat it. Thankfully, we found our way to the pediatric infectious disease doctor, Dr. Elena Rosenthal, who worked most of the time at SickKids and a little bit at North York General. She was at our room by 7 a.m. the next day. And Elena was our angel. For over 2 years, while Lily had constant cycles of high fevers without being able to identify the source of the infection, lymph node infections, we thought she had a bone infection, she had a spleen infection, and times we couldn't find it. Elena just stuck with us, trying to get to the bottom of it, always taking me seriously and making sure that Lily had the absolute best care in the world. She was a champion, she was a quarterback way beyond what her call of duty was. She did that so many times. I actually won't ever forget. It's these little things you sometimes don't forget about what these doctors do. She wrote out in very detailed point form Lily's entire history so that I wouldn't have to endure the trauma of what it was to tell the story every time I went to the ER all over again. It was just such a blessing to have her with us, and she was so committed. Lily's journey culminated in being diagnosed a few years later with Kawasaki disease, which is also a very rare infection. And we endured sort of many trials and tribulations with that, and there was an evening where I almost lost her. And I just remember so clearly in that moment having to find a strength with her that I didn't know we could have. And that began sort of another 6 months of trying to figure out what was underlying these issues. And a day in the oncology clinic that I will never forget with the most incredible, gracious, beautiful human beings. Thank God, Lily is perfectly healthy. She's outgrown all of this. We had 13 wonderful specialists in our time at SickKids. She calls it her teddy bear hospital, and always wants to read a book to raise money or sell lemonade or whatever she can do to give back. But these are the 3 things I learned about resilience from her that I want to share with you. Number 1, surrender to what is and redirect your energy to solving the problems. That positive energy will go so much farther than bumping up against the reality of the situation, no matter how bad it is. And as hard as that is, you just have to stop yourself as much as you can from circling around the truth, or questioning it, or being mad about it, or sad about it, or feeling sorry for yourself. Lily taught me over our 2 years of very painful experiences that we couldn't change it. We just had to do the best we could to accept it and navigate it day by day, which takes me to my next point. Be in the moment and go forward, focusing on one moment at a time as best you can. I am certainly not the expert of this age-old concept or wisdom of being present and eating an elephant one bite at a time. But I really learned how valuable it was over that 2 years. I learned how to bring our focus to dealing with whatever challenge we had one day at a time, sometimes an hour at a time, sometimes figuring out how to entertain her enough to get to lunch when I was so bone tired I couldn't see. You always have a little more. That's the last thing that I really learned from her. You just do. Even when you think you don't. Even when you are exhausted to the bone and you think you have no positivity left in you, you always have it. You have to go a little deeper into your reserve tank, that's for sure. You have to dig. But you just have it, and you have to believe you can. You're strong, and you can find what it takes to persevere. The quality of the people is the first reason I love being part of this. I have met so many incredible people, and I feel as a group of incredible people, there's just so much more we can do together. So it's the opportunity to connect with and grow your network with really amazing, incredible people outside your typical community. Second of all, the feeling of directing such a significant cumulative gift together to a cause that really needs our help. We only support underfunded priorities, the ones that aren't sexy, like pain management. Like, our kids need help learning to manage their pain, but that's not the most sexy thing to fund. We do that. So thank you so much for coming, and enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you.